Look, I've been in bad spots before. Seen things that would make most people stop listening if I started listing them down. But none of that prepared me for what happened after my retirement. There is some brief context. About 2 weeks before this all went down, I was running flat broke. Not the kind of broke where you skip meals. I mean the kind that wraps around your bones and will not let go. I took whatever jobs came my way. Guarding empty warehouses at night, watching parking lots no one cared about. Work meant to keep a man busy, not paid. Dinner sometimes came from a friend's kitchen, pity served up as hospitality. I pretended not to notice it, and they pretended not to mean it that way. The landlord had already taped his warning to the door. The power company had cut me off. Pride was gone long before I packed my bags. I had just pulled up to the estate gate after a stupid little side stop. A dispatch was out with a breakfast box that evening. When I opened it, I saw cheap coffee and something wrapped in wax paper. I took it because the food still felt like a win. The dispatch handed it over like he did not expect to see me again, like I was one of those ghosts that shows up for a handout and disappears. We spoke for a minute. He told me how the gate looked old, but the lock turned easy. I thanked him, shut the trunk, and sat there with the box on my knee while I listened to the engine tick as he left the estate. Then a number came through. It was not one I saved. It was a ghost of an old contact, the kind of man who wore suits and moved in alleys. He did not waste time. He went straight to his problem. "Old Baron, we have got a problem." After that, he went silent for about a minute before saying another word. "And you can fix it," he said. He named a senator I had seen on TV, the kind of man who smiles for cameras and sleeps with a minder. Got kidnapped, high value, off the books. The government was paying out 50 grand on this deal and 40% up front. Then the call died abruptly at his end. I did not think of anything else at that moment. But 20 grand was enough to pay a month's rent and put some heat back in my bones. I should have smelled the trap, but I did not. You know, when you have got nothing left, even hell looks like a paycheck. Desperation has a sweet tooth. When I picked up the coffee cup to have a taste of it, a white envelope that was folded to a square size that fit the cup's bottom fell onto my lap. The first thing that came to my mind was maybe the price of the meal. But on several occasions, they had never given a receipt on any meal like this. When I opened it, it happened to be an address of the location where I was going to set the senator free. He made it simple. No headlines, no fuss. Just after going through the envelope, my 40% was credited into my account. Without thinking much, I went straight into my bedroom and packed light, knife, first aid, bread, and the quietest Mark II, the only piece I never turned in since I left the Corps. Small, suppressed, built to shove a man against a wall and keep it quiet. Then I cleaned it twice, like I always did. The motion steadied me. By night, I was set to move. The road to that place felt wrong from the second I left the main highway. The road seemed to go on forever. There were cracks all over the asphalt. I passed an old gas station. Tall grass was growing everywhere along the sides. The whole area looked like it had been forgotten for years. But I did notice one light still on in the gas station mini-mart. But there was not a single pump at the station. My headlights cut through light rain that just would not stop. I saw what looked like a person on the side of the road, but when I blinked, it was gone. My mouth tasted like metal. By the time the estate came into view, The place did not look like a house. Sections of roof pulled up, as if something had tried to crawl out. Bricks had slumped away from the foundation. Windows were empty, like hollow eyes. The longer I stared, the less it looked built, and the more it looked waiting. I parked down the hill. It was about 10. Midnight was the window for this. The place felt rejected, not abandoned, rejected, like the ground itself was forced to push it out. I took the Quietus and the box of coffee up the drive. Rain started steady, cold enough to sting my face. The front doors hung open, split down the middle like something had pushed its way out. Inside, it was pitch black. My flashlight showed wallpaper peeling off the walls in long strips. The floorboards creaked loudly with every step I took. It smelled like old wood and dried blood. Just then, I heard a crack from the ceiling above me. At first, I thought some wood had shifted. Then, I realized the whole place was moving. Suddenly, bats came pouring out of the ceiling. Hundreds of them, flying right at me. I could hear them screaming and feel their wings hitting me. One flew right past my face. But they were not just flying around randomly. They were all heading for the exit. That is when I knew something was wrong. Bats do not just leave like that unless something bigger scares them out. The hallway was long and narrow. I kept my gun ready, pointing it into the darkness ahead. There were doors on both sides, some hanging open, others stuck shut. Cold air was coming from somewhere. At the end of the hall was another doorway, darker than everything else. When I stepped inside, the air felt different, heavy. There were old machines in the corners that did not work anymore. The concrete floor had deep scratches in it, like something big had been dragged back and forth. When I touched the scratches, they felt fresh. The scratches led to another hallway that went upstairs. The walls were so close my shoulders almost touched them. I moved slowly, trying to stay quiet. Then rats came running out of a crack in the wall, rushing past my feet. They were not just running around, they were running away from something, just like the bats. The smell down there was terrible, like metal and old blood. There was a heavy steel door at the end. I pushed it open. The room was way too quiet. In the corner were thick chains bolted to the wall. Some were broken, others had rust and hair stuck to them. The senator was chained with both feet off the floor. On the opposite side of the room, he looked lifeless. I heard a scraping sound from the dark. When I turned around, I saw something that still gives me nightmares. It looked like a person, but wrong in every way. Way too tall, with arms that hung down past where they should. Its face, I cannot even describe it properly. The skin looked like it was melting and reforming. Its mouth was too wide, stretched into this sick grin that showed too many teeth. And the eyes, they were not human eyes. They were just black holes that seemed to swallow up my flashlight beam. The worst part, it was breathing, but the sound was not right. It was like air being sucked through wet meat, and its clothes hung loose on him. Its head was tilted at a weird angle. He did not have any weapons. He did not need them. He just stood there watching me, like he knew I was coming. I raised my gun and aimed at its chest. I thought about my training. Then he moved, not walking, but moving so fast I could barely see it. 1 second he was across the room. The next, He was right in front of me. I fired 3 shots. I felt the gun kick back in my hands. He stumbled a little, but that was it. My flashlight hit his face. His eyes were completely black, like holes. His mouth was stretched into this sick grin. His skin looked like it was pulled too tight. I backed away. He did not rush at me. He just walked forward slowly, like he had all the time in the world. I kept shooting until my gun was empty. He looked down at the bullet holes in his chest, then looked at me and smiled even wider. Then he moved again, faster than before. I barely ducked in time. I pulled out my knife and stabbed him with it. But it felt wrong, like stabbing a tree trunk. No blood came out. He did not even seem to notice. He swung his hand at me and hit the wall where my head had been. The concrete exploded. I rolled away and ran for the door. I could hear my boots echoing in the hallway. Behind me, its footsteps were slow and steady, but they were getting closer. I found some stairs and ran up them 3 at a time. Halfway up, the railing started bending. I looked up and saw his shadow on the wall. He was above me somehow. I threw myself back down the stairs, hitting my knee hard on the way down. It hurt like hell, but I kept running. I found myself in a storage room with empty shelves and broken wood everywhere. I hid behind a post and tried to breathe quietly. The building was making creaking sounds. Then everything went quiet, the kind of quiet that makes you want to move. I reloaded my gun. My hands were shaking and covered in dirt. I saw something moving at the other end of the room. I fired 3 quick shots. The bullets hit wood and sent splinters flying at my face. Then the shelves above me started falling. Something heavy had landed on them. I rolled away just as metal and wood crashed down where I had been hiding. He came down with it. Standing up like falling did not hurt him at all. I saw an exit sign glowing red at the far end. I did not care if it was safe or not. I just ran. Those shelves kept falling as he chased me. I hit the exit door with my shoulder, and it flew open. Cold rain hit my face. I stumbled outside, breathing hard. The parking lot was wet and slippery. I could see my car's headlights in the distance. I did not look back until I was halfway to the car. That was my mistake. He was standing in the doorway, lit up by the red exit sign. He was not chasing me anymore. He was just watching, waiting, like he already knew I was not getting out of there alive. I ran to my car, slipping on the wet pavement. My keys were slippery in my hands. I kept thinking about the senator, tied up lifeless, blood on his clothes, looking at me with those scared eyes. I had promised to get him out, but I was not running to save him anymore. I was running from that strange figure. The air around the building felt thick. The trees were bending in the wind. The rain was getting harder. I got to my car and fumbled with the keys. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely get the key in the lock. I finally got inside, soaking the seat with rainwater. My heart was pounding. I turned the key. The engine made a coughing sound, then another, then nothing. It was dead. My headlights got dimmer. I sat there gripping the steering wheel, trying to catch my breath. I could see the building through the windshield, with all its broken windows staring at me like empty eyes. The doorway was empty now, but somewhere in that darkness, he was moving. I was trapped in my car, praying the engine would start before that figure found me.